Hello and welcome to the 8th LiveG Lookahead on Tuesday 27th of June 2023 at 5 PM BST. I hope everyone's well. I know it's been a while since the last LiveG Lookahead, but considering that we've got the LiveG OS release coming up, I thought now is a good time to do our next look ahead. So hopefully I can remember how to host one of these look ahead sessions. I seem to be doing a good job so far. So this meeting is being hosted in the LiveG Lookahead channel on our Discord server and is additionally being streamed onto our YouTube channel, where a recording of the meeting will also be available after it has finished. Live subtitles are available by watching the stream via our YouTube channel. Don't forget that questions and input can be given at any time, and we aim to address all questions and input at the end of the meeting if we don't address them during a discussion. We also, if you're going to contribute, you must respect the LiveG contributors community rules, which can be found under the rules channel on Discord, and of course by suggesting ideas you agree to make those ideas available under the LiveG open source license. So with that out of the way, I'll introduce myself. I'm James Livesey, of course, the founder and LiveG, the lead developer of LiveG. So yeah, here's today's agenda. Firstly, we have an update on LiveGOS 0.2.0. So with all the planned features having been implemented into our upcoming alpha release of LiveGOS, we'll be reporting the progress over the past few weeks with bringing the system closer to a public release by building and testing it for multiple platforms. Then we'll be discussing getting ready for our next showcase. We'll soon need to create our next episode of LiveG Showcase to publicly announce the new version of LiveGOS. We'll be covering what has already been done for this episode, and what will need to be produced and included in the video to ensure that it contains information on all the changes that we have implemented. And finally, today we'll be talking about choosing what's next for LiveGOS. So after the release of LiveGOS 0.2.0, we'll be beginning the work on version 0.3.0. We'll be discussing what features we should include and prioritise in this next update based on previous discussions on LiveG Lookahead, and we'll be reviewing what features to add to our long-term roadmap in general. So we'll make a start with an update to LiveGOS 0.2.0. So the good news is that all our features have now been implemented, including the new update system. which is excellent because it's quite a big feature, of course, and I'm glad to have that implemented. We'll go over some of the new features on the next agenda item, of course. One other thing with LiveGOS is that our x86 build is working fine in virtual machines, though there may be a few things to fix at the moment before we can get it running on real hardware. I think there might be things to do with the GPU, especially when I'm trying to run it on my main computer, because that's got a NVIDIA GPU. I need to try and see if that can work, but I think it does have the potential to boot correctly with those small issues fixed. I've got some really good news on the PinePhone front. The PinePhone build is pretty much complete at this stage and is ready for release, really, which is exciting, especially seeing it's the first time we're releasing for the PinePhone. So really glad to have that implemented, especially seeing that the PinePhone, along with the Raspberry Pi, will be quite interesting because there will be a lot of people who will be able to try out LiveGOS with those two platforms. Talking of the Raspberry Pi, the Raspberry Pi final build is yet to be made and tested. But at the moment, building for the Raspberry Pi has been implemented already in LiveGOS Bootstrap, so it should be pretty straightforward. But I don't want to jinx myself, of course. But yeah, I think it should be fine, and it's nice and debuggable, being a Raspberry Pi, of course. So that's about it, really, on that front. We'll move on to getting ready for our next LiveG showcase. So, of course, it's been 7 months ago since our last showcase episode, and 6 months ago since our last video on YouTube, actually. So yeah, it's important that we make our next video soon, because there's going to be quite a big gap otherwise, and people might think we're quite dormant at the moment, whereas that's far from the truth. So in terms of what we'll be showing in this next showcase, we'll be starting off with showing a trailer for LiveGOS called Imagine an OS, which has now been made and produced. And that trailer will showcase LiveGOS, particularly for those who may not know about LiveG yet. So it's a short montage of all the features that LiveGOS has for version 0.2.0, as well as all the features included in our initial release. So it's quite a lot to show there. So yeah, that'll be shown in our showcase video. So that's something to look forward to. Some other key features to highlight in LiveG Showcase are multi-platform support, of course, for the PinePhone and Raspberry Pi, as well as ARM64, as well as the update system, of course, as I've mentioned, is a big one, and it's good that it seems to be working now. I was trying it on PinePhone earlier, and it seems to run quite smoothly, if not slowly, of course, being on the PinePhone, but it's working well, just like on x86, because I know there are a few issues that we needed to fix on x86 for the update system, which are now resolved. And also another key feature to highlight is UI improvements and additions in Sphere. Of course, we've got our new tab interface, which has been implemented a long time ago, of course, by now, but it'll be making its debut in LiveGOS 0.2.0, as well as settings. Settings has a lot more different, pages in it now. There's loads of options for Wi-Fi configuration, so you can now configure the Wi-Fi access point settings without having to, go into a terminal, which is nice and easy to use. As well as keyboard layout, which now finally you can change it, and it also changes the physical keyboard layout, not just the keyboard layout that is virtual on PinePhone and LiveG Prism. So that's also really useful, especially when it comes to how that integrates with localization. Of course, with the OS already being fully localized into French, that kind of completes that, really. Also, with LiveG Showcase, we should discuss our future plans in the next showcase to give our viewers a bit of a roadmap of what to expect going forward, as well as some of the current limitations of LiveGOS, because we don't want to show LiveGOS as a complete system at this stage, or overpromise the features in LiveGOS. It's good to be somewhat grounded to reality. So, for example, you can't manage files at the moment, or those kind of things. I mean, don't get me wrong, LiveGOS can do quite a lot already at the moment, but there's still stuff which needs to be implemented before it's daily drivable. So it's good to point them out. And that actually moves on to our next point nicely, with choosing what's next for LiveGOS. So I think with the next release, with 0.3.0, the main focus will be building new system apps, such as a calculator. That would be a good start, just to see if we can properly build one. A file manager, of course, that's quite important for any operating system, as we've just mentioned. Apps with cellular features, so SMS texting could be useful, and phone calling. And also about that, actually, SMS and phone calling theoretically do work in LiveGOS. I have tried them out in the terminal, so it shouldn't be too hard to integrate them into a nice UI, as well as other useful tools for apps that we should implement. So yeah, it's important to also mention some of the ongoing side projects, I suppose you can call them, that are already integrated into many aspects of LiveG. Including typeset engine, that's now integrated into LiveG docs. So in fact, I can actually show you an example. If I go to, I'll just show people on our YouTube stream. Here's the LiveG docs homepage. If I go into AdaptUI has a good example. When you go to localizing apps, you can see that there's now nice syntax highlighting, and these are basically embeds. Well, not really embeds. They're components which are brought over from the typeset engine, which is really nice. And it looks good, makes it much more readable, and of course you can select text and copy it. It's fully featured in that way. And yeah, it really does improve those kind of things. So when it comes to implementing an IDE, such as we plan to implement Typeset Studio at some point, that'll go a long way to implementing that. Another thing is LiveG Search. That's currently being actively developed with a much better searching algorithm and implementation, so it'll produce much better results. The back end for that is pretty much, I'd say, almost complete. Just the front end needs to be updated to work with that new searching algorithm or system, I suppose. So that'll be exciting. Of course, and also Formulaic is another little project that we're working on, and that will be integrated into some sort of calculator app to really, kind of superpower our calculator and make it fully featured in a mathematical sense, I suppose. So that's good. And another thing, perhaps, for LiveGOS 3.0 is Linux integration, or Linux app integration, or Linux terminal integration. We'll see. Though of course we need to plan that one a lot, so we might not make it into release in 0.3.0, but I suppose we'll see. Considering how big 0.2.0 is, I think the next few updates are going to be much smaller but more regular. That way we're not posting a new showcase every 6 months or so, or 7 months, I suppose. So yeah, that's it in terms of our agenda, which is good. If you have any questions or input, then you're welcome to leave them in the LiveG Lookahead channel on Discord, or via the live chat feature of YouTube. That concludes today's episode of LiveG Lookahead. We don't have a next meeting scheduled, as I'll be off sometime during the holiday period. we hope to have another look ahead soon after the release of LiveGOS 0.2.0 in the coming weeks. You can rewatch this meeting via the recording on our YouTube channel, which will be made available shortly. But until then, thank you for watching. See ya.